Happy Monday and welcome to another edition of 3 Point Stands presented by Mountain Dew. I got my guy John Roser on the call for me, and let's get straight to it because it was a busy weekend, right?
It was.
And you know what the biggest thing was? Alabama football. Tua got injured, was carted off the field. He dislocated his hip. And a lot of talk has been going on. Should he have stayed in the game? Should he have not been even in that game? You and I brought it up last week if we even thought we were going to see Tua play against Mississippi State. Well, we did. He got hurt towards the end of that second quarter. What did you think about the whole situation?
I mean, look, it was Nick Saban even said after the game it was his last series of the game, which it's pretty common. It's not like we haven't seen this. I mean, this has kind of been what it's been for Alabama the last couple of years with Tua. In a lot of these games, you play the first half, and then the second half he comes out. That's kind of what's happened with Tua, unless it's been one of these, like an LSU game or an Auburn game or something like that, or if they play a top team at the beginning of the season on a neutral field. They played Florida State before in the past and USC. Like in those situations, like you play a little, like starters play a little longer, but like that's kind of been commonplace for Alabama. Like Tua plays the first half. Now I didn't know he was going to play. And I don't believe, look, Tua was healthy enough to play last week and play really well. Once he got going, that first half was a disaster. But then once Bama got going, I mean, he threw for 400 yards and God knows how many touchdowns. And, he did the same thing on Saturday. He was 4 of 8 for 200 and something yards and, a bunch of touchdowns. Like, it's football, man. People get hurt. Like, stop trying to assign blame to someone. Like, who is to blame for this? Well, he got hurt. He's not the first player to get hurt. And if you don't think Tua didn't have a say and whether or not he played, you think Tua said to Nick Saban, Coach, I'm just not. I probably need to take off this week and next week and just try to get myself even healthier for the Auburn game to end the season. Or do you think Tua probably said, no, Coach, I want to play? If Tua said, Coach, I just think I need to get myself right for the last game of the season against Auburn, and then we should be able to win these two without me, and then get myself right for Auburn, and then boom, we can get in the college football playoff. Do you think if he said that, Nick Saban would have played him? No, Nick Saban would be like, okay, man, if you don't feel healthy enough to play, I'm not gonna. I know Nick Saban, how he comes off in interviews, but he's not like that with his players behind the scenes, and I do think he genuinely cares about the health and well-being of his players. If Tua did not feel he was healthy enough to go, Nick Saban would not have put him out there. So to think that Tua didn't have any say in this is a little absurd to me. It's football. It happens. People get injured. It's a very physical sport. You can get hurt.
It's a very dangerous sport, and it's a very scary sport. And Nick Saban even mentioned that. He said, I don't play players. I don't play them thinking like, oh, just in case they get hurt. That's not a thought that goes in my head because it's football. If you were to work out your schemes that way, what kind of football coach would you be and what kind of football team would you be? I just hate it for Tua. We know how Mississippi State has been. They're not great. And the fact that Alabama was even able to put up 30 plus points in the first half alone, and we weren't even at halftime just yet. I just didn't think Tua was needed to play. I think it would have been a good practice round for the backup quarterback because of he had a great game in that LSU game in the second half, but you could still tell he was a little shaky. I'm not saying Nick Saban was to blame because he even mentioned that it was supposed to be he stayed in for a practice for that 2-minute drill, and that was going to be good practice for him, especially when you have the Auburn game coming up, and that's going to be a big game for them. I hate it for Tua. It's a dislocated hip. And, for Alabama fans, that's their last time they get to see Tua in an Alabama jersey. And it's so sad. He's had such a great career at Alabama. I don't know what this really does for his Heisman race. And now all my thoughts and prayers are with him for his, for his career in the future.
No, if there's one thing we can agree on this, it's that this is how it ends. Because he has been such an electric player in college football. He busted on the scene when Jalen Hurts was not getting it done in that national championship game against Georgia, and Georgia's just killing. Alabama can't move the ball, and Tua comes in there in the second half, leads Alabama from a come from behind win. They go to overtime, and Tua throws that bomb in overtime to win the national championship. That's how he busted on the scene nationally to everybody. And for it to end this way, no, it doesn't seem right. But also, get well, Tua. I can't wait to watch him play in the NFL. And it does stink because this is multiple ankle surgeries, now a hip surgery.
Right.
He's going to lose money over this dropping on NFL draft boards because, well, one, he's not going to be ready to play next year in the NFL. They say this is a year-long process. We're already in November. The NFL starts in September, so he's probably not going to play his next year in the NFL. And this will raise serious questions about is he just, this kid gets injured.
Yeah, Tua is a big believer on faith, and so we send up all of our thoughts and prayers to him. And let's now get over to the NBA news, because a player that maybe we thought we were ever gonna see again play, apparently we might get that chance tomorrow night. Carmelo Anthony has joined forces with Portland Trailblazers. Do you think this is gonna be a good fit for Carmelo?
Well, let's look at the last two teams Carmelo has been on. The Oklahoma City Thunder, he played with Russell Westbrook and Paul George, two other stars. It was basically a disaster. That team was a disaster when Carmelo Anthony was on the court. Go to the Houston Rockets, the short-lived, and we played them in a preseason game. The Grizzlies did that year, and we were going to go to the Topgolf at Birmingham the day before the game, and we couldn't because the Houston Rockets had it rented out for a team-building event, build chemistry. Well, that chemistry that he had playing with James Harden and Chris Paul did not last very long at all either there, and it was a total disaster. And when they got rid of him, the Rockets season kind of just flipped around shortly thereafter, and the Rockets became a really good team last season. And so is it going to work with Dame Lillard and C.J. McCollum? I mean, if I look at his previous two places, the evidence all suggests no, it's not going to work. But if you're Portland, they just had 3 wins recently. Now they're 5-8. They just started a 6-game road trip on Saturday at San Antonio. They've got at Houston tonight, which would be fun if that was Carmelo's first game. If he was playing, it would be very fun. Then they've got at New Orleans tomorrow night, and that's when it seems like he's likely to make his debut. And then Thursday night, they're at Milwaukee. Now, all 3 of these games, the first 2, Rockets and Pelicans, are on NBA TV, and Thursday is on TNT. So it appears when Carmelo makes his debut in New Orleans or Milwaukee, most likely New Orleans, we're going to get to see it on national television. So do I think it'll work? No. Will I be watching? Yes.
I really do think this could potentially work. What's really interesting about this story is that Damian Lillard said on Joe Budden's podcast, like earlier this season, that 2 years ago he tried to get Carmelo to come to Portland. He didn't come. He went to Oklahoma City. Then he tried again. He didn't come. So 3 times the charm for him. So I do think Carmelo, I think at this point in his career, he can kind of rewrite the script and he can kind of go out on his own, storyline. And I think he has kind of humbled himself. And if he can be that team player and know that he's going to be the player who's going to come into that fourth quarter when he's needed, to be that vet, to possibly take that, game-winning shot if Damian Lillard's having an off game, because, they're going through a lot of injuries. Damian Lillard had 9 points last week in a game. And so I think they're trying to figure out what is going on, and Carmelo coming in, if he can be a team player, I think what we saw with Oklahoma City, what we saw with Houston, I think it'll be a different story. And I think this could be a good fit. Carmelo's 35,
This is it. This is it.
This is going to be it for him, right?
Yeah, if it goes up in flames in Portland and Portland just totally gets worse, I mean, they're 5-8. So I get Portland's thinking of signing him. Like, how's it going to get worse? Right? How's it going to get worse? But if it does, and then they end up waiving him, obviously it's a non-guaranteed deal, and they end up waiving him, that's it for his career. Like, I mean, who else is going to sign him? Like, do you see anybody else signing him if this does not work out? So if he has finally humbled himself, if he's going to play defense, if he's not going to hold the ball for 12 seconds of the shot clock, and he does get to whipping the ball around, the ball gets to moving, and he can be an efficient scorer, then it'll be a great addition. I got to think Portland probably, they called some other teams trying to get trades first, and when they couldn't get a trade, whether it's for Kevin Love or whoever, they decided, let's go this Carmelo route. We need something.
All right. Well, we're rooting for him. I am. I don't know about you. You're watching.
Well, it felt like Carmelo, maybe he was getting blackballed by the NBA. Much like our next topic, right?
Yes. Great transition. Yeah, speaking of blackball, Colin Kaepernick in the NFL, he had a workout on Saturday where he had a lot of NFL execs there. It was a lot of discussion on where it was going to be. He got moved. The media was able to be there. We got to see his arm. Do we think this is the time that we're finally going to see Colin Kaepernick sign with the team after what we saw on Saturday?
Look, should a team sign him? Yes. Is Colin Kaepernick one of the 32 best quarterbacks? Because 32 teams in the NFL, 32 starting quarterbacks. Is he one of the 32 best? Yes, he is. As a 49ers fan, I can speak on Colin Kaepernick's play very well. I've watched him a lot. Colin Kaepernick's good. He's not awesome. He's not elite. But look at starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, Joe Flacco started this season for the Denver Broncos. Colin Kaepernick is better than Joe Flacco right now. He wasn't better than him in the Super Bowl, but he's better than him right now. We just watched two teams on Sunday Night Football last night, the Rams and the Bears. The Bears 100% should sign him. Now, they probably won't be. They should sign him and they should start him. The Bears should. Colin Kaepernick gives them a better chance to win than Mitchell Trubisky. Meghan, you and I give the Bears a better chance to win than Mitchell Trubisky does. And Trubisky injured his hip again last night. The problem with that would be the Bears if Trubisky's healthy enough to play, they're going to play him because, well, you traded up in the draft to take him with the number 2 overall pick. You don't want to admit you're wrong about that guy yet. It just is, third year in the league. But Kaepernick is 100% one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the league. He is not awesome. He's good. He's fine. There are times Kaepernick will make plays and it wows you.
Yeah.
Wows you. The guy set the NFL rushing record for most rushing yards in a playoff game. He had 180-something against the Packers back when he was in San Francisco. And he will make some throws where you're like, my God, because he has a cannon for an arm.
I mean,
he doesn't have a touch on the ball, but he has a cannon. He will make some throws and he will make some plays where you're like, wow. And then he will make some throws and make some plays where you're like, dude, what? You are horrible. But he is definitely one of the 32 best. Now, if you're going to sign him, you need to sign him and make him your starter. Nobody wants CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Good Morning America posted up at your NFL practice for your basketball, for your backup quarterback. No team wants that amount of attention. So if you're going to sign him, you better sign him to be your starter.
I know you could talk about this forever because that was once your quarterback of your, favorite team. I think, we were not there at, his, open practice or tryout, as you would say, or workout. But however, there were a lot of NFL execs that said that he still has that elite arm and that too, he was still very impressive. The clips that I saw, he was making some amazing long passes to the receiver and it looked really, really good. It was right on target. And I think, as you mentioned, when you go through the list of quarterbacks that we have right now, a lot of teams are struggling. We've seen some starters get benched and some quarterbacks get hurt. I think that this is the time where he should get signed. I think you're right. He should start. And I think he's ready. And I think that he's going to wow a lot of people. I know there's a lot of talk about how he handled things on Saturday, but regardless of that, let's let, the physicality of what he's able to do be really the biggest discussion. And I think if no one signs him, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be very, very upset.
Look, I think he's better than Mitchell Trubisky. I think he's better than Josh Allen in Buffalo. He's better than anybody the Redskins have at quarterback. The Detroit Lions, Matthew Stafford's hurt right now.
Today.
Better than those. He is. He's better than those guys. Is he better than Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees? Is he better than those guys? No. I don't think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo, who the 49ers have now. But is he better than a lot of these other guys I mentioned? Jared Goff, Mitchell Trubisky, Josh Allen, whether it's Josh Rosen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the Dolphins change their quarterbacks all the time. He's not better than Deshaun Watson, but is he better than Brandon Allen, Kyle Allen, Joe Flacco, all these? He's better than those guys.
Well, we will see. I cannot wait. A lot of people coming back It's really, really exciting times in the world of sports. It was a great weekend.
It was. That was a really fun weekend. And also shout out, we didn't really mention it because the Grizzlies lost yesterday. That was where we were going to forget yesterday's game.
Don't bring it up.
Friday night was amazing. Mike Conley's return to Memphis. John Morant busting out on national television. We had already seen him bust out a couple of games, but that was in front of a nationally televised audience. Everything about Friday, from the Hustle winning their noon game against the Stockton Kings to the Grizzlies win over the Jazz, 1-point win over the Jazz, Mike Conley's return, the video, the ovations, Tony Allen being back in the building for the first time since, he hasn't been playing in the NBA. Everything about Friday night was awesome, and the Grizzlies organization did an amazing job with it. And it was awesome to see Mike back in the building, and great to see all the fans there show up and show their support for Mike. So everything about Friday night, thumbs up.
Yes, it was definitely a party here at FedEx Forum. And if fans did not come out on Friday night, we have so many games coming up. We got a game on Tuesday right here. We got a game on Saturday against the Lakers. I know that's going to be in our 3-point stance next week. So make sure you are tuned in next Monday. Roser, thank you so much. Thanks for watching 3-Point Stance presented by Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew!